players to come back. We'll give you the chip counts. We have Suited Dan in first place with 13,475. Robert in second with 10,700. Max in second with 7,200. I'm in third, I'm sorry. Ed in fourth with 71.75. Corey with 56.75.
Cards are flying.
Mark with 5,000 and Paul Moskowitz with 48.50. Got Mark with a Jack 10 suited.
Mark raises to 625.
Suited Dan with an ace 9. I think Mark might take this down.
Blinds are 150, 300. Just got the first blind of the second break going, or second
Ed with ace jack. Corey with a king 10 suited. Paul with a 7-8 suited.
You're good.
650 now.
Ed raises to 650. Mark calls.
Mark calls with the 8-9 off, defending his blind.
Heads up.
Mark decked first.
That would have been sick, huh?
I'd have felt more comfortable.
Ed flops 2 pair with king, jack on the flop.
800 is what I said.
800 bet by Ed.
That would have been Corey.
These are the ones that you kind of slap and say,
I love when the dealer flow rolls in. Oh, yeah. I thought it was like a cliffhanger.
I actually prefer that.
And to see you next week.
And we're on break, folks.
Mark folds, Ed takes it down.
Robert kind of in over the top mode here with the backwards hat. He's going to be pumping iron in his big rig after this, just to get ready for the next tournament.
What's that?
Suited Dan deck first. Folds.
Mark with king 10 in the small blind.
650 now.
Raised to 650 by Robert.
Rob raises with the queen 10 off. Let's see if what Max does here.
Calls.
He calls.
Max calls 650.
Again, Max just calling with the medium.
What's he coming on now?
I don't know. I'm nervous.
Jesus.
Ed with the 4 or 5 offsuit.
Man.
Ed folds.
Jack.
Oh, you hit one.
Rob was second pair.
Both players check.
Went check.
1,000 bet by Robert.
Bless you.
Bless you. 5 outs, so it's only 15%.
That was you again.
Max thought it was Robert poking him.
Oh, wow. He's really trying to get a read on it.
Jacks fold.
Bless you again. May the force be with you.
Watch tape.
That's why it's definitely difficult to call with medium pairs.
Especially like sixes, because there's always, it seems like there's at least two of those out there.
They still sell bids.
And then you just have no idea where you're at in the hand.
I haven't seen them, but I'm sure they do somewhere.
Moskowitz stack first.
DVR technology.
Yeah.
The blue VCR.
They have to.
DVDs.
People still have them.
They're still selling VHS.
Hey, I still have a DVD VHS player. It's in my bedroom. You know, how else am I gonna watch my stash?
Corey with sevens here.
I refrained from saying that because I didn't want to embarrass him. But
What? Come on, there's nothing like a good here.
See what Corey does with sevens.
Takes me back to 6th grade.
Corey raises to 700.
That should take it down, I would think.
All players fold.
I have those. Don't ask me why, but somehow I happen to find online somebody actually took the time to put a VHS underneath, like the first porno I ever remember seeing.
First stack will be Robert.
It's all, I mean, it's horrible quality, but I remember it. Oh my God.
How's the acting?
Top notch. Equal to online poker.
Suited Dan with ducks.
Ed with a king, queen.
I'm here to sneak your dream.
Jack queen, you mean?
Oh, Jack queen.
I think I found the problem. There's a big hairball.
it's not too late to stop.
What? That's just that Roto-Rooter commercial they have now.
Ed raises to 725. 750.
750. Dan's going to protect his pocket pair.
Suited Dan calls.
You're assuming they're good.
You waiting for two cards? Is that your problem?
It just has
I've seen some pretty nice cards out there.
Suited Dan still ahead.
Edward.
With a check.
And now Ed got there.
So you bet. So my pair's no good.
Dan letting Ed know that his pair is no good.
Ed bets 500.
A smaller bet than the flop raise. Screams pay me off here.
Suited Dan calls.
Dan gives him his wish, and Ed.
I was going to say, the straight and the flush got there. I think we might see a check on the river.
Ed takes it down.
Suited Dan folds his monster.
First act will be Max.
And that just shut down the internet.
I'd expect to hear that at this table, but not from you.
I meant it as a good thing. But then I'll show it to my house tonight.
I'm Claire.
Folds over to Ed.
Oh, hey.
Ed with the 10-7 of hearts.
See you, Marco.
And Paul getting the second walk of the night.
Next is Robert.
Oh, Rob getting the second walk.
Corey to act first.
Mark with ace jack. Ed with ace 8.
Mark raises to 725.
Paul with the queen 10 suited on the button. Rob with a 6-7 suited. I'm sure he's going to make this call. Wow.
All players fold.
I'm real surprised there.
Maybe one more person to call, like Paul.
Action on Mark to act first.
Mark with an ace king.
Corey with an ace 6 suited, and Rob with a king queen.
Yeah, I was going to say, Rob's the one I think will probably call.
Raise to
here.
800 by Mark.
I think Corey can let an ace rag go here, even if it is suited.
Corey can let aces go here.
26.
Raise to 2600 by Robert.
Rob re-raises to 26. I think we'll see Mark ship it here.
Mark all in.
Well, Mark can't get it in much better here.
24, 25.
Mark going to win almost 80% of the time.
How much more, Train?
24, 25.
Well, Mark knows he has the best hand now. It's less than the raise, and he hasn't snap called.
Because I want to. No, they already announced it. I didn't hear it. Call.
And Rob calls. Let's see if Mark can double up here.
Mark, definitely a good shot to double up here.
The way he's been running tonight, I would not be surprised if the queen was the first card off. Alright, nothing there. Uh-oh.
Rob turns open-ended.
And can't get there. Mark doubles up. Nice hand, Mark.
Can't say I don't want to see that happen.
That's why you don't re-raise with king queen.
Ed to act first.
I wish I took my queen 10. Can't say I was rooting for an ace on the river there.
So with all the mojo looking for me, I was sure to hit something.
Rob with an ace 5. Suited Dan with an ace 9. Ed folds ace 3.
Suited Dan raises to 850.
That should take it down.
All players fold. Suited Dan to act first.
Rob with an ace 8.
Yeah, I was going to say Rob will be raising this.
Raise to 650.
There we go.
650 raised by Robert.
Nobody has too much. Ed with an ace-5. The only. Yeah. Good fold by Ed.
Paul Moss was stack first.
How many chips do you have? How many chips do you have? So you start at 1, 2, and I don't count. They didn't. I didn't know what the colors were.
Rob with an ace-queen. Suited Dan with 4s.
Speaking of units.
1150 raised by Robert.
It's definitely a good time to catch cards. Robert seems like he's steaming after that loss to Suited Dan 2 hands ago.
That was to Mark.
Oh, well. All I remember is he lost on it.
What are the blinds right now?
Suited calls.
Blinds are 150, 300.
1 minute, 48 seconds left, no blinds.
Pretty big raise by Rob there with ace-queen.
15. All in.
1500 bet by Robert, all in by Suited Dan.
Suited
Dan
Dan knows he has the best game.
Not your flush, sorry. I saw the laugh.
Probably did play fucking got black cards. King 7 or something.
Very nice play by Suited Dan.
I'll let you look at them.
Alright, that fold.
Here, that's over. That was it.
Oh, I flipped them in.
No, I can do whatever you want.
Oh, you show me.
Yeah.
Suited Dan lets him see the pocket 4s.
Robert jack first.
I know. But I put them on ace face. I'm soul reading people tonight, so watch out. You're next. Oh, do you know what blocks the soul?
26 seconds left, no blinds.
So beware to cover girl sunglasses. I can't see it.
Suited Dan saying he's reading souls tonight.
2000.
Yes. Soul block. Soul block.
Yeah. Ed with a Jack 7 suited.
Making statements like that's usually a precursor to stepping on your weenie too. So let's see what he does here.
I'd love to not see anyone step on their weenie today. I think we've had enough weenie for this season.
You must know what I have.
So reading. Next time, guys.
Ah, dang.
200, 400.
Wow.
Gave me the look in the window.
6.
Huh?
Paul flops bottom pair, Dan flops top pair.
Check.
Check.
Both players check.
Check.
2 pair.
Me too.
Dan slow rolls him.
Mines are 2 and 4, guys.
I was chasing you. I'm 2 points behind.
I like where this is going.
What is it, 2-4?
Yeah. Are you big?
Max jack first.
No, I would shoot ahead. Bad luck, you just win like that.
No, we changed the payout.
Yeah, whatever. That
Those
was
young guys convinced me into changing the payout.
Max with ace king suited, Ed with aces. Uh-oh.
Max gets a big hand
Like the old man.
and makes a raise. And
9 now.
I was 5.
Max raises to 900.
You're not getting your ball back either. That's my score.
Is it done tonight?
Did you raise, Max?
9.
That is all in.
Need a count?
Max just seems to run into these hands after he takes
Max calls.
Marco out today.
Ace King of Hearts versus Aces.
You saw how this ended last hole.
It's going to be 9%.
Heart in the window.
No hearts. And Max is drawn down.
Good news. Consolation prize, you've got 2 pairs.
Yes, that's
Nice one.
so you didn't lose. You can sit down. So sick when the poker board needles you. You know, that's so sick.
Glad you had that. Because I was going to call this raise with Queen 10 as a shove on the flop, and I think he would have called me.
And then there were 6.
Mark with ace jack. Suited.
Four guys.
Welcome, Max.
1050 now.
Not really the reason we wanted to see you here today after taking Marco out so early.
Right.
It just seems like you ran into a lot of bad hands after flopping that straight against Marco.
Yeah, I mean, when I doubled up Rob, that was, I don't know why I did that. I was still trying to figure that out.
I was wondering, that hand, you did not raise queens under the gun?
I did.
You did?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I think I was under the gun. Yeah, I was under the gun, and he called
Jack
4.
Jack 4 suited.
Jack 4 suited, and
I figured the reason that I checked.
you did check the flop though.
Yeah, because I know Rob plays a lot of aces, and so I was putting him on at least ace something. And then I didn't necessarily. I wanted to give him credit for a flush, but I thought that he might have played ace queen, betting out like that, and then he was just checking to me or if I checked him, whoever was first, that because I raised, that's why he checked. So I figured I didn't know if he didn't have anything. I didn't want to try and chase money action with what I had, and then after I checked, I realized there was 2 hearts on the board, and I didn't analyze the situation.
I don't think you could have bet enough to get him off a flush draw.
Mm-hmm.
To tell you
that's what I was wondering too. After I bet it,
But then there were a couple of hands after that where you caught a few medium pairs and just called to see a flop.
Mm-hmm.
Any particular reason why you don't want to raise there and get rid of some of those hands like Jack 4?
Are you talking when I have like sixes, fives?
Sixes, eights, fives, that kind of hand.
At that point, I just kind of I think when I called, it was relative to my position. I can't remember exactly where I was, but I just wanted to try and get in cheap with those just to see because they were lower pairs. So I mean, odds are it's a very small chance that I'm going to be top pair right there.
Corey
So I
races
just wanted to get in as cheap as I could.
1100.
And then go from there. And I figure if it comes to me and I can see bet with it and see what happens there. If there is something like Jack 4 off and they miss, they may call or they may fold. So
it's just so hard to play those small pairs because there's almost always 2 overs coming.
Right. Especially when you have something like a 5 or 6.
Yeah.
Since there's only 3 or 4 players. And then if something like that does come, and then someone
Raised to 2600 by Mark.
an overcard, if they hit a straight, if they hit a set, if they hit a pair. And so even if it comes down to it, I mean, really the best thing you can hope for is to kind of hit your set, and then I think, in my opinion, the best thing you can hope to do is with a low pair like that is to hit your set and then kind of hope it just kind of jumps all over and gets a little piece of them to keep them in.
While we're talking, we have a very interesting hand. Corey just raised the button with 10-9 off. Mark re-raised from the small blind with Jack King off, and Ed's in the big blind with the best hand, 8. Well, mathematically, Mark's ahead right now.
lost my virginity 9 months before you were born. Hey, wait.
Ed folds. Corey folds.
All folds.
It's a nice play by Mark there.
I'm going to DNA test. There's no way because I don't fold that much.
You look like the milkman.
Moskowitz stack first.
Put Corey on the steal and made the raise.
Little jelly. Oh.
Those 8s really shrink up when there's a raise and a re-raise. Mark with 6s now.
Paul with a 9 jack. 6-handed though, I think Paul's kind of going to slide back into his game where he folds and folds and folds until he gets.
I built this table like a tank. You don't have to worry about it. Or a train. It's built like a train.
Thank you. I can remember.
He played a few hands pretty early that were real loose.
Raised to 1300 by Mark.
Then you tighten back up.
Yeah, then he's suited Dan with the jack 7, lets it go.
Mark shows 5s or 6s.
Strategy 101.
The problem with Paul is he likes his reputation as being the tightest player.
I told him that on Facebook. I said, Paul, you're the tightest man I know.
Robert attack first.
That's just too easy, Rob. I'm not even going to say anything.
How much?
Raised to 800 by Ed Wigler.
Ed raises Paul's small blind with 5-6 suited.
Wash those again.
Only one wash per level.
So we're on a new level.
8 minutes, 45 seconds left in the blinds.
I think some people are going to start picking on Paul here for a while.
I need some magic.
Well, I think they realize that he's going to tighten back up and isn't going to play a lot of hands. I'm surprised a lot of that aggression isn't focused on Corey as well, knowing that he's not going to play many hands. For me, when I notice that players are definitely super tight, I'm going to raise a lot on their big blinds with any 2 cards and just try and pick up as many blinds from them as I can.
Action on Corey.
Mark with King Jack.
Dan on the button with King Queen.
Dan's got King Queen suited. Let's see what Mark does with King Jack here.
Mark calls 400. Suited Dan raises to 1450.
You should have called. Paul would have just folded anyway.
I said I was going to raise the blind. I had to keep my rep up.
What's the total?
14, 15,
1,050.
Mark and Dan back at it again.
This is not the kind of hand you want to be calling out of position.
It's one of the hands I really
Mark
don't
folds.
know, a King Jack or a King 10. Even on the button, that's not like a hand that, depending on who I'm playing, that's an iffy hand.
Well, I don't mind raising with him or being.
I was just getting ready to say that too. Like if I have to raise with it, but I don't want to call.
Yeah.
I really don't want to call.
Typically, you'd like to be the first person in the pot with those hands.
Good raise.
Mark attack first.
I was calling his.
Those two just have so much potential to get you into trouble.
Paul with Ace King. I think we might see Paul get in a hand here.
And I think everyone else is going to get right back out.
I'm going to make a prediction, unless he limps with it and gets out flopped.
Paul said he had
Paul looks like he's all in.
When I folded Ace King.
2,700.
When I folded Ace King, it was like Rob re-raised 3-bet Paul. I figured that would have stuck since I folded that.
I don't
remember.
Yeah, I don't remember that one.
Paul with the transparent play there, moving all in.
Nice goal, Bob.
It's called baby steps, baby. It's called baby steps.
Every little bit helps, but sooner or later those blinds go up.
Well, we've said that all season. If Paul did that, he could. Ed with 4s.
Ed Dak first.
What Paul needs to do is he needs to make these plays 2, maybe 3 times in a row sometimes. I'd like to see Paul move all it again here, just to show that, hey, you know what, I can play hands too. And
Raise
if you
to
want to
900
catch
by
me,
Ed.
you're going to have to catch me. I absolutely feel like Paul could get away with making 2, maybe even 3 bluffs in a row without anyone, paying to see his cards. And his image is just so tight.
Especially right now because with I think Dan and Ed have some chips.
Mark's got quite a bit
Mark
too.
Mark might be like 7,000 or 8,000.
No, Mark's over 10.
Is he?
Yeah.
Mark's got just about 10.
I was going to say, I think Corey's right around maybe at best starting stack, and then I think Rob now after he lost, he's right around starting stack a little bit.
Paul with an ace-7 here. Rob with an ace-10.
Ed with a queen-10 suited.
The queen-10 suited squeezed out
Robert
just a
all in.
slight favorite until Rob moves all in with an ace-10.
Looks like about 33,
Oh, and he goes to
75.
stand up to show he has an ace.
33.75.
Oh, 33.75.
29.75.
This is not the kind of hand you want to double somebody up with here.
I could probably get there.
Yeah.
I call him all day with that.
I got 1 line.
Dan says he calls all day with that and loses most
I was
times
going to say,
as
he
well.
probably does, and will lose, what, 70% of the time?
Moskowitz
Just
stack
about,
first.
about 65.
Nice hand.
4 minutes, 10 seconds left in the blinds.
So I'd rather not lose 2 meals a day.
Ace king I could have lived. Ace 10.
Archie's helping.
Ed again with pocket 4s.
Fate and the flush.
And Paul just letting them know that he has these bad hands and he's letting them go.
I had to take off a little early night. I got to go study, so.
All right, we'll see you next week.
Final tomorrow.
Good luck on your final.
Ed calls 400.
Let us know when you graduate high school.
He had to go feed that bad.
Oh, see ya. Ed turns the wheel, and he's not going to get any action from suited Dan.
800 bet by Ed. Suit Dan fold.
Four on the river would have been fun.
Curve the belt.
No, but Ed probably can.
Robert Dak first.
First act is,
It's on you, Robert.
Mark,
This is gonna be the hand
Mark
you-
with an ace-9.
oh, there's the hand.
Corey ships it with king 2 offsuit.
I think this is a point where Corey knows that he needs to take a stand and start stealing some blinds.
Corey all in with 29.25.
I think Mark's going to let this go just because there's so many players behind.
He looks down, sees a king, and feels like it's just time to go. Paul could learn a lot from plays like that.
When you get real short, you don't have to have the best to get it in. You just have to end up the best.
Soul reading. What a queen to you.
Whatever you have, you just figure the person has one.
Corey Dak first.
It reaches a point where mathematically you need to get it in with any 2 cards.
I believe the math can only take you so far. Sometimes you just have to feel like it's time to make that play. I'm a firm believer in the math for poker. However, you have to make a play sometimes.
I'm real surprised Corey didn't get it in there with an ace-9 suited.
Me too.
Six-handed, that's going to be the best hand a lot.
I'd like to see Paul raise here against Robert. An all-in here would definitely make Robert fold. And just because it's Paul and Robert, I'd like to see him steal it, but he doesn't.
1 minute left in the blinds. Mark to act first.
Look at him bounce on it. African American music playing. All right,
Mark with a Jack 10. Should have done Queen Jack.
See if Corey tries to steal this one out of the big blind.
Sudan calls. 400. Robert calls and Corey checks his option.
Not sure why Dan didn't raise there.
Okay, sir.
Flops bottom pair and a straight draw.
All players check.
Checks it.
17 minutes
I think
left
Dan
in the
has
blind.
to check there.
Blinds are up to 300, 600 for the next hand.
King on the turn makes it a little less likely that any player has one. I think Dan feels like he should be able to bet second pair here. And on ace on the river, chops the pot three-way.
Dan played this all the way down to where he...
With a three-way chop, aces and kings with a queen.
Actually, Corey folded.
Oh, a two-way chop, aces and kings with a queen.
Corey folded.
Wasn't sure there was a bet there.
There was no bet there. He mucked his cards though, so he can't give me. Sorry, but it's not your.
Two-way chop.
Corey forfeits his blind. Definitely, you wanna definitely see what the other players have if you can before you muck your cards. Just because they say they have the winner doesn't mean they always do.
I said 3 pair.
No, I know you did, but I thought I couldn't see what it was.
We'd like to think that poker players tell the truth, but we all know better.
What are blinds then?
Blinds are 3-6.
Or I'll break next.
Breaks next round.
3-6, kids.
All right, Rob with an ace-8 of diamonds. Paul with
Ace
an
eight of diamonds on the
ace-king of
button.
clubs.
If Paul knew what Robert had, I think he could smooth call and get a call up.
Paul Moskowitz
Get Robert
all
to
in.
try and buy the
I was gonna
pot.
say, he might get a call here anyway.
2,700.
This is something you're going to throw your chips in, man.
I'm all in.
Robert all in.
Muck.
7.
Switching over to
supposed to have anything.
Paul about 75% of the time is going to win this hand here.
Paul versus Robert.
Andrew suited? Shit.
Paul's ace-king versus Robert's ace-8.
Rob
Both suited.
runs pretty good in these situations, getting it in with way the worst of it.
If I remember correctly, suited only allows for a
2 diamonds on the
1%,
flop.
1% addition. Rob with 14 outs.
5 or 3.
Seriously.
I'll take a chop.
2 of spades.
And Paul fades it.
And the best hand does, in fact, win.
You knew it too, Mark. I wouldn't expect that from you.
I would laugh if I said all.
I can't control cards by anything I say.
Yes, you can. I believe that you can.
There is nothing I can say that'll control these cards. I just saw Mark behind his face and start laughing the whole way, and I'm like, yeah, here it comes. Diamonds on the flop.
As soon as I heard you guys go, oh no! Here we go again. Here we go again.
No, it would have been nice to give him a club on the turn and then the diamond on the river.
Robert, though, we got the one hand.
Corey Mixell all in.
Corey moves in with Jack 2 offsuit.
29, 23 to you.
No.
I don't think I've
2,900
ever
total.
gone out.
This is a good spot for Corey to start taking blinds.
Yeah, Corey got just enough to force the big blinds to pick up a good hand to have to call. Blind too far down, and then when you get aces and the 8-5 suited can beat you.
Well, with the blinds being 3-6 now, Corey only has 5, maybe 6 rotations, depending on his folds. So he's very limited to what he can do here. A lot of these smaller games, you have to tend to move all in quicker than people would think. Even though a lot of players don't like it, it's a necessary evil with such small fields and such quick blinds.
Yeah, he put that in
I think we might see Mark raise his button here. Oh, he folds. 8-9 suited.
I love it.
Suited Dan gets a walk.
It's usually a hand you'll see him raise, even in a full ring.
Ready to fall.
So you'll get 600, so what?
Being six-handed, if you have a decent-sized chip stack, you can definitely force players with weaker hands out of the pot a lot of the times. There doesn't seem to be any aggressor at the table.
No.
It seems to be flowing around to where everyone's waiting for big hands and just trying to
Robert all in.
else.
Rob's going to get it in, and Suited Dan's going to call with the ace-10.
1,700 total.
It's only 11 more to call.
17, sir.
Now, I'd like to see Paul call here.
I'm going to stay seated. I'm a winner.
So it's about half price for him.
Ace Jack versus Ace 10. Robert with the Jack.
Suited Dan looking for a 10 here.
Jack in the window.
Now a King Queen.
8.
And Robert gets the hand and doubles up.
Tough to do with these and 7 billion chips.
Yeah.
You folded queens that is all in. I saw your hand. You went.
I told you, I figured he had aces.
Corey to act first.
Last time I
I thought he had ace, king of spades. And was
Last time I pushed, he had aces. I'm like, I figure every time I push, he's going to have aces.
Paul with an ace-7. Ed with an ace-3. Rob with a jack-3 of diamonds. See, with Rob's stack, Paul should just move in here.
Very easy to take the big blind from Rob
Right.
at this point if Paul moves in.
How much you got now?
about 34.
Twice what he had last time. Again for 17.
You force him to pick up a big hand or get real lucky.
34 plus the 9, so I got 4,000.
Last
And he
was
just
calls.
See, that's
I think
just-
here with just a call, Robert can move all in.
Both players check.
Any bet here wins.
Both players check.
What?
And call with the ace high gets the check mark for the win.
unless Rob bets.
Check.
Both players check.
Sounds good. Check on it.
Both our short stacks afraid to play each other. Had Paul moved all in pre-flop, he could have just hurried that along.
Choking on over there.
I think the downside to Robert's play there was he knew that Paul was very hesitant to just call. If Paul wanted to raise it, he would have raised. So Robert's play definitely should have been an all-in once
Once Paul him and hauled like that, I wouldn't even have looked and moved in.
That's why
That
he needs
stack.
play girl.
You should definitely put Paul on a weaker hand there. Something he'll be able to give up pretty easily.
Who's in first place there? I forget. Some guy like me. Dude like me. Do it, New Year's
Paul Moskowitz all in.
Touch your left nut every time you get inside.
I didn't even see him touch
I think this is the first time we've seen Paul Moskowitz win 2 hands in a row all season.
Ed Dak first.
What happened? I thought you were shaving.
We'll see. We'll get there.
Process.
You're gonna
He was mistaken on what you guys wanted him to shave, so
Whoops!
He was upside down. Now he's, you know.
He's probably got to ask permission to shave it, though.
Mark with 9s. See if it folds around to Corey. Corey's been moving in here with just about anything.
Wait till she gets the paper.
I folded. Yes, I already folded.
And Corey does, in fact, move in.
And Mark,
Corey is all in.
Mark will be calling.
Mark
here.
calls.
I folded Jack 9. One of each.
32.
Do you have one out? You get
I folded Jack 4 or Jack 5.
Well, draw 2.
Anybody else fold the other jack?
Yeah, I did. I think he's got 2 live jacks and a bunch of clubs.
No!
Jack in the window.
And Corey gets lucky and doubles up.
No waiting.
Button is good.
Suited Dan Dak first.
That's a nice guy for
7 minutes, 30 seconds left in the blinds.
Ed with ace queen suited, but nobody else has much.
Can I just say mosque every time I want to fold now? I'm mosquing.
Mark calls.
I'm mosquing.
Ed announces all in. Mark folds.
Snap fold.
Ed not wanting to play a pot there. Just moves all in.
usually gets 8 4 offsuit.
Once again, Mark's bad luck there. He seems to get it in good quite often. Just can't hold on.
Corey raises to 900.
Corey with the ace 7 raises it
I'm
up.
sorry, that is a 1300. Galera on the chip.
Ed with 4-8 and Dan with 4-6. Don't think we'll.
But
My hand.
4.
Exactly. Exactly.
Really? Now you know how the other half goes.
Oh, he knows how the other half is. He was on a sub for a long time.
Oh my God. That's right, you were, weren't you? Did you see Hunt for Red October?
Yeah. You're in a set. Lots of semen.
Dan.
What's long and hard and full of semen? A submarine.
What?
Duh.
It's an educational show, too.
Yeah, really.
I know every line from Austin about her.
Oh, is that
Wow, with 6s here.
31.
Rob all in with 3100.
And he should get no action
They did a
there.
film version of the book on the beach. It was a whole kind of apocalyptic novel by Neville Ship. And they were actually
Really?
smoking
You're
on
gonna
a submarine.
fold?
They're walking around
What you
smoking.
call
Mhm.
We're sharing cards.
Feeling like you can't
We
do
were
that.
sharing that card.
Where are we now?
I folded queens.
10 deuce.
Rob shows 6s.
Well, I had you,
Great.
So what you're doing is literally nice. I would see. Obviously not play poker, or you do better.
The problem is that it shifts all the shifts that migrates.
What's a big man?
And you play for money, you play for treasure.
Alright, this hand is for who's catching them.
Ed with an ace-9, Mark with an ace-7.
Oh, I'm all in.
I'm all in 7.
Verbal bets are binding, sir.
Raise 15 now.
Raised to 1,500 by Mark.
See what Ed does with the ace-9 suit.
Before Paul, we know what's going to happen.
Right.
Don't fake it.
Look at that. Oh, I got my chest back in my hand so I can push my cards with my other hand.
That should take it down now.
Mark takes it down.
Takes a man full of queens in that position.
The cat disagrees.
Mark to act first.
I was going to, but then Paul Miller might be watching it.
Paul with the best hand with Jack Queen.
See what he does here on the button.
He'll just limp.
Looks at Robert.
He doesn't even limp.
You're the reason I flew
I think he felt like Robert was itching to go all in. Robert gets to just make a medium bet and push Corey out.
Actually, I think Robert went all in there.
I was hoping.
Looked like he had chips left, but
Yeah.
if not,
Did
oh
it?
well.
He says he was hoping Paul would raise there. Paul raises there, he folds so fast.
Not sure why Paul didn't push with that.
No, I have no idea.
And Paul definitely needs to understand a little bit more about the button. See how Mark plays a Jack Queen now.
Next hand, I'm not going to put mine on the RFID, and we're going to play the Jack Queens.
See, Rob's probably going to raise or move in with the ace-7 here. Yeah.
Robert, kind of the one-trick pony at this point.
Yep, Robert is all in.
I think that might be a little bit too much for Mark to be able to make his call.
Tight table. Tight table.
And only suited Dan would think that's a tight fold.
Thompson Waterfield tight.
Ta-da! 1 minute, guys. We're going on break. Make sure you count your chips. Tell PJ what you got. No? Yeah? No? Tell you what, we're just going to do whatever PJ says.
Damn straight you're going to do that, Trey.
Damn right we are.
Have you been reading my diary again?
Robert
all in.
ace-7 again, moving all in.
Folds over to Ed. 26 seconds left in the blinds.
Tell Ed just to stall for 26 seconds.
Nope. Ed folds.
One more hand
Robert
before
shows another
break.
ace.
Yeah.
I'd like to see who the first player to get tired of Robert moving all in is.
I'm thinking it'll be suited Dan.
I think it's Chris.
Not a player.
Last hand, guys. Last hand.
And we're on break after this hand.
Uh-oh.
Dangerous here.
Action on Moskowitz.
We got...
Love to see Paul slow play here.
Nah, he'll never slow play.
16.
Raised to 1,600 by Paul Moskowitz.
Alarm should be going off that he didn't move in with his stack.
Not at all. He may just want to see a flop. He may want someone else to draw against. Maybe he has sixes in this case, like our friend Mark here.
Mark calls 1600.
Ed might make a raise here with ace king.
Ed's been playing pretty snug.
With a raise and a call.
Ed all in.
All in, and Paul's jumping for joy.
Oh, I wish
Paul
he would
moves
have
all in.
thought about it for a while.
Is the value there for Mark to
Mark
make
folds?
the call? No, sir.
No, he can't make a call.
Paul is jumping.
Ace king versus aces.
We got some red in that deck?
We
Got some red in that deck?
I think we've seen this.
One king has been
Six on the
folded.
Red in that deck?
Here come the
Red?
gloves. Do-do-do.
Mark,
Come on, red. One more red.
devastated.
One more red.
Paul doesn't know he has the win here. Mark turns sixes full of sevens, but folded pre-flop to the all-in players.
All right, we are on a 10-minute break. We'll be
Paul
back in 10
will
minutes.
double up plus some, and then we will be at break for roughly 10 minutes.